Please don't curse. All right, this is our agenda. I'm sure you guys got to take a look at it. It is a nice, fat, long one. We've got 2 sets of minutes to approve. Hopefully that'll be nice and quick. We've got legislation for all of the neither clubs that we're going to go ahead and pass on. We've got public comment from 3 clubs. So we've got AICHE, NESB, and Model UN. Then we're going to handle off-campus conference budgets. That's about 7 of them. We've got recess. You guys will have 30 minutes to go ahead and grab dinner, but be back by 8:25 so that we have time we arrive in time for public comment from Model UN for their competition section. After that, we're going to do the competitions, and then we should be done and out of here. Hopefully we'll be out a little bit sooner than 10:30, but I've allocated an hour and a half for each of the deliberation sections. So after that, we'll make our official call for the special session on Friday, and we should be good. Yeah, is there a motion regarding the agenda?
Move to approve the agenda.
Is there a second? All right. Any objections? Hearing no objections, the motion passes with general consent. I'm going to go ahead and open up the meeting minutes and scroll through those. Anyone can make a motion at any time. As they wait to load, these are the minutes with edits from Dean. Is there a motion on the floor?
Move to approve the meeting minutes from March 24th.
Is there a second? All right. Any objections? Hearing no objections, the motion passes with general consent. And we have our meeting minutes from March 27th. Go ahead and open those up. Feel free to make a motion at any time.
Move to meeting minute March 27th meeting.
Is there a second? Any objections? Hearing no objections, the motion passes with general consent. And with that being said, we're going to go ahead and move on to legislation. All right, first up on our legislation list, we have Catholic Retrievers. Nithya, did they respond to you with their off-campus advisor's approval?
No.
They did not?
No.
All right, then. So that being said, I'd like to move to indefinitely table FBL 364-1920.
Second.
All right. All in favor, please raise your hands now. Oh, Nithya actually raised her hand.
I just got this app. I don't know how to use it.
All right. Hands down. All opposed? All right, guys. I need everyone to vote. So we'll try this again. All in favor of tabling, please indicate that your hand is raised now or say something in the chat.
My hand raised.
Thank you. All right. Hands down. All opposed, please raise your hands now. All All right, 8-4, 0 against in favor of tabling. So we'll table FBL 364 indefinitely. That being said, I'd like to move to approve FBL 365-920, which is the Rifle and Pistol Club's budget. This is the one going for supplies that we agreed upon with the condition that they will have to only use it for UMBC students. So is there a motion regarding FBL 365?
To approve F 365 1920.
Second.
All right. All in favor, please raise your hands now. All right. All opposed? 8-4, 0 against. The motion carries. Oh, I missed my gavel now. I'm not gonna lie. I'd like to introduce, so that approves 8010. I'd like to introduce FBL 366-1920, which is Black Lives Matter. This is their trip to the museum that we okayed on, striking travel. This would be the budget included with travel stricken from that budget. Is there a motion on the floor?
To approve FBL 366-1920.
Second.
All right, all in favor, please raise your hands now. All right, 8-4, 0 against, 1 abstaining, none not present. The motion carries. I'd like to introduce FBL 367-1920, which is the UMBC SGA. I will one day learn how to pronounce that. The LARPing Club. This is for their supplies for their off-campus building activity. Is there, Brian, go ahead.
Approve FBL 367-1920.
Second.
All right, all in favor, please raise your hands now. All right, hands down. All opposed? 8-4, 0 against, 1 abstaining, none not present. The motion carries. Ow. I'd like to introduce FBL 368-1920, which is also Catholic Retrievers. But since they didn't have their budget in, I'd like to move to indefinitely table FBL 368-1920. All right, all in favor of tabling, please raise your hand now. All right, hands down. All opposed? All right, 8-4, 0 against, 1 abstaining, none not present. The motion carries. We'll be tabling them. Finally, major definition, which you guys have agreed to not vote or not approve of. So I'd like to introduce FBL 367-1920. Is there a motion on the floor? Hearing no motion, the legislation is not adopted. Wow, I really put 3 minutes for all those, thinking it might take a little bit. All right, so while we wait for our first group of clubs to come up, oh, Candace, are you saying something? You're muted. No? Candace? Hello? Oh. Justin got my neck on that one. All right, so we're going to quickly go over how the process is going to work for clubs that are coming in. So we've advised the clubs to arrive a little bit early, but the way it's going to work is that once they're there, we will do quick introductions. The introductions are going to go down in alphabetical order. So I'll say your name beforehand, but once we get to the next order, it'll be like that. Basically, we're going to limit it to 1 minute so that we can all introduce ourselves. They'll get 3 minutes to talk for their club and advocate on for whatever they want to say that they weren't able to say prior. And then we'll open it up to 2 minutes of questions from the board. If there's any questions, that's perfectly fine, but take that time to ask. If you still have questions after the 2 minutes have passed, you can move to extend, and that motion to extend will be for an additional 5 minutes worth of questions. At any time, anyone can motion to end the questioning period, and if that's approved with a 2/3 vote, then we will end questioning at that time and move on to the next organization. There will be no debate or discussion until after all organizations have been heard, and we can do that debate and discussion when we talk about them during conference budget time. If you have discussion points, please write them down or keep note of them or even put them in the chat. But I prefer, or actually don't put them in the chat while the org is still there. But I prefer that we hold on to those until we discuss all the budgets as a whole. Does anyone have any questions, or does anyone want me to repeat anything? The clubs that are coming are the American Institute of Chemical Engineers at 6 o'clock. At 6:05-ish, we have the National Society of Black Engineers, and then at 6:10, we'll have Model United Nations. And yeah, clubs will have to sit and wait if they arrive and we're still doing questions for the next one, but this is the offering that we're giving to you guys. For the sake of transparency, we have emails set from the Finance Board email to other clubs should we need them to come in to answer questions. So if you vote we can do that, then we can shoot that email or use the contact information to call and get a response as soon as possible. So in the email we've sent out to all the clubs, they've been notified to be on standby if they have read and opened the email. So we're just going to go ahead and wait on that. But does anyone have any other questions for us about how the process works, motions, rules, anything? Candace got this smile going. All right. I'm confident that we can get our budget cycle done within the hour and a half before we move off to dinner. But in the meantime, everyone did get a chance to look over all the budget. Actually, right now, I'm going to go ahead and stop presenting and shift it over to Candace. So give me a second. Candace, do you have the presenting privileges? I cannot hear a word you're saying.
I know you can't hear me. I'm muted on purpose. But hold
Well,
on.
I don't know. It sounded like you were trying to say something.
No.
All right, my apologies.
I have lots of littles running around this house, and I don't know when they're gonna come, like down the stairs. So I just am muted most of the time.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
Hold on. So I got come in here. No, cancel that. I'm gonna share. Can you see?
Everyone can see? All right. One thing I'd like to discuss before the clubs come in was a concern in the conference section that came up by Tori, which would be for, I believe it was pre-veterinary club, correct? Ms. Easley?
Yeah, sorry, I was shaking my head.
You're fine. Could you explain the pre-veterinary club issue, and maybe we can make a decision before some of these clubs arrive?
Yeah, I don't want to label it as an issue because it's not like something's wrong or anything like that.
Not an issue, but the
Just
situation.
A situation. Their request seems more like it should fit under the neither category than it should fit under conferences. It's for $357.60, and there's still like I think almost $1,000 left in the neither category. But it's essentially they go together as members over to Virginia Polytech, and they get to kind of shadow some vet students and see the facilities and things like that. So it's not necessarily a conference. It's almost, if you want to call it, like a field trip that they do for the org. So in my opinion, that seemed like it would be more so a neither category than a conference.
All right. Thoughts on that? Raise your hand and we can call on you. unless no one's got any thoughts. Scott says he agrees with the shift, correct? Just a thumbs up will work. I got you on my camera. Any other comments? Feel free to just shout it out. You're trying to talk, most of you are muted, so just keeping that in mind.
I think that's fine. Yeah.
All right. Cool. We got some more stuff. So we can discuss this, or not discuss this. We can go ahead and do this now. So I'd like to go ahead and move the Pre-Veterinary Society request from the competition section to the neither section, or from the conference section to the neither section.
Second.
All right. All in favor, please raise your hands now. All right. Hands down. All opposed. All right. 8-4, 0 against. One abstaining, one not present. The motion carries. And we're going to go ahead and shift the information and shift the request from the conference section to the neither section for the Pre-Veterinary Society's request. That being said, the Pre-Veterinary Society's request is for a whopping total of $357.60. The neither pot does have about $1,000 left over. Are there any objections with funding this organization as is?
No, let's fund it.
All right. In that case, I'd like to go ahead and introduce FBL 375-1920, which is approval of the Pre-Veterinary Society's fall semester request. Is there a motion on the floor?
Move to approve 375-1920.
Second.
All right. All in favor, please raise your hands now.
Wait, I'm sorry, I have a question.
Go for it.
Are we allowed to fund for food?
Yeah.
We are? Okay, you know what? Never mind. Okay, thank you.
I think it's a decision that we had made last time, but there's nothing preventing us from doing so.
Okay.
All right. Does anyone want discussion or debate? Or there's already a motion to approve in the second. So yeah, all in favor, please raise your hands now, unless there's an objection.
Withdraw my motion. Move to debate.
The motion has been withdrawn. There's a motion to debate. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, we are now in debate. Scott, since you initiated the motion to debate, the first comment is yours.
I didn't realize there was food. Thank you, Elise. I don't want to fund food.
Well, I wrote in my notes that they said that they're asking for like food and transportation, but they're asking for transportation. So I think that money is really for just transportation, but they just put in that they're asking for food.
What's the FBBR 75?
68.
Yeah.
What is it?
468.
468.
I don't see food.
Candace, you could just search the number up top.
Yeah, just put 468 into the search bar and it should come up for future reference.
Which cost was it, Elise?
Well, no, it's just in the question where it says, if yes, why is your organization participating in the opportunity again? So they're saying that VT's offering for lodging, but they need to cover food and transportation. But then reading again, then food might come from somewhere else because they didn't write a specific number.
Yeah. So there doesn't seem to be a place where they can request it. So we should just assume that it's not included.
Yeah, I think it'd be included under supplies. They were gonna have food for it. Yeah, I remember this request, and I think they're saying that we need to cover that on our own, but I think they're saying they'll cover the food themselves.
If you look at the travel breakdown, or like what's the per person travel cost, that kind of adds up to the $357. It states that they had essentially $35.76 per car one way, and total would be $357.60 for travel.
All right. Any other comments? How you feeling right now? Oh, Candace, go ahead. Once you're done reading, of course.
Thank you. So they're asking for this money, okay, but they're asking it at $2.75 per gallon of gas, but that's not how you should be calculating travel. You need to calculate it on the state's mileage reimbursement rate, and if that number is less than this, that's what you need to give them. If it's more, then that's up to you on how you want to do it. But this calculation is not, I think you need to run a calculation on what the mileage reimbursement is and then determine which one's less. Because this is not how you should be funding car travel.
Does anyone have those numbers for the calculation? Also,
57.5
per car?
0.5.
For total or for car?
It's showing 292 miles one way to Virginia Polytech.
So 600 times 57. I mean, estimate it down 300.
What was
I
it,
think they're a
Tori?
little bit lower. 292.
292 miles one way.
292 times 2 divided by, actually 584. Yeah, 584 times 0.575.
What the heck? That's a
The
lot of
max they
money.
could request is $335.80.
That's what you need to be reimbursed. Yep.
All right. Let me go ahead and make a comment.
But that's per car.
Oh, and they've got 5 cars, so
So I think you.
I think I need to be requesting more money every time I do an off-campus event. Yeah, all right. They're good. You can fund them at what they've requested. My biggest thing is, are they really going to be driving 23 miles per hour from here to Virginia Tech?
What?
Oh, I like that we used an average of 23 miles per hour.
Yeah,
and
I
it's
bet you
20.
they're like, let's look at our car and see what our average MPH is on our car. Oh, it's
Yeah,
20.
but a car would have an average MPG, not MPH.
Or well, yeah. You know, they don't know what they're doing. They could have asked for a ton more money, but they didn't. So I think that's something to tell them in the future.
Yeah, I think we need to make those
Liaison.
little calculations permanent.
Is
and
it?
then,
Is it? Yeah.
What was the max they could get funded at?
at 5 cars, they could have gotten $1,600 in gas for this trip.
All right, that's what I got, but that seemed absurd to me, so it's just to make sure.
I mean, counting in tolls, I wouldn't be surprised.
Jesus.
I mean, what it's actually calculating is like the wear on your car, right? So there's a wear on your car that there's a monetary amount applied to in that 57.5
Appreciation.
cents. Yes. So that's worth something. So I would say for things like this, if we can encourage students to look in, like is there rental vans that they can use, that they can book as a student org? Is that something?
Yeah.
I believe so, yes.
So
Other groups have used that. Like Ethics Bowl usually uses that for their competitions.
yeah, I think having a session specifically around, we'll talk about this later, travel and what they can use on campus to save finance board money.
All right,
Move to end discussion.
Is there a second? All right. All in favor, please raise your hands now. All opposed? All right. That being said, like to move to, or I'd like to reintroduce FBL 360 or 375-1920. Is there a motion on the floor?
Move to approve FBL 375-1920.
Is there a second? Thanks, Ilsa. All right, all in favor, please raise your hands now. All opposed? All right, 8-4, 0 against, 1 abstaining, none not present. The motion carries, and this club will get funded. All right, Asamo, welcome. Is that how I pronounce your name?
No, hi, I'm Esma.
Asma? All right, is
Yeah.
Sammy here too, or?
She said she was going to get on. I messaged her. I don't know. She's not here right now. Looks like on the chat.
All right. Well, do you mind if we can go through introductions, and then if she's not here by then, another club is here. So if you want, we can push you back and have that club move forward.
Okay.
Yeah, I butchered that hard. I sincerely apologize.
That's okay.
All right. We're gonna go ahead and go down and do introductions anyway. So we're gonna go ahead and start with Abdullah, and then we will go down in alphabetical order. So if you open up the participants on the side, it's the center button. You'll see which order you're going to be in. But if there's a silence or lull, I'll prompt you with which one you're supposed to go. So Abdullah, you're first. Go ahead.
Abdullah Wadood, voting member of the Finance Board. He, him.
Achalafak Akem, first year ambassador, non-voting member of the Finance Board.
Asma, you can go ahead.
Esma, I'm Hassan, and I'm the treasurer of American Institute of Chemical Engineers.
Boss?
Hi, my name is Bassett Sani, and I'm the treasurer for the National Society of Black Engineering.
Thank you. Candace?
Hi, my name is Candace Martinez Stone. I'm the Assistant Director for Leadership and Governance, and I also serve as the SGA Advisor, she, her pronouns, and I am not a voting member.
Courtney?
Hi, I'm Courtney Campbell. I serve as a coordinator for student organization development. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm on the advisors to the finance board, and I do not vote.
Hello, Dean Green, Secretary for Finance Board. I'm a non-voting member, and I use he, him pronouns.
Hi, my name is Elise Troy. I'm a finance board representative. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm a voting member.
Howard, you can go ahead and introduce yourself too.
Oh. Hi, my name is Howard Nicholson. I am the Vice President of the National Society of Black Engineers.
Ilsa, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Ilsa Mir. I'm a finance board rep. I use she, her pronouns, and I am a voting member.
Justin?
Hi, my name's Justin Connor. I'm the vice chair of the finance board. I am a voting member and I use he, him pronouns.
All right. And my name's Liam Kim. I serve as chair of the finance board. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm a conditional voting member. Michael, go ahead. Michael, everything good? We can't hear you right now. Yeah, we're just doing introductions, so you can go ahead and introduce yourself. He disappeared. Yikes. Nithya, go ahead.
I think his audio wasn't working, so he'll probably try and come back.
We can reintroduce him at that time. Nithya, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Nithya Prakash. I'm a finance board representative. I use she, her pronouns, and I am a voting member.
Ryan, go ahead.
I'm voting for the finance board, and I'm a representative.
Michael, you want to see if your audio is working? Guess not for now. We can come back. Sammy, go ahead.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you fine.
My name is Sammy, and I'm the Vice President of the American Institute of Chemical Engineers.
Welcome. Scott, go ahead.
Scott Buchanan, SGA treasurer, he, him. I am a voting member.
Miss Easley.
I am Tori Easley. I'm the coordinator for student organization engagement. I serve as a finance board advisor. She, her pronouns. I do not vote.
Zane. Zane.
I didn't unmute. Zane Poppenberger, Vice President for Student Organizations. He, him pronouns, and I'm a voting member.
And Lillian just joined too if you want to go, Lillian.
Oh, hi, I'm Lillian. I'm the president of Model UN, and I have she, her pronouns.
Hi. Sorry, I'm dealing with my dog who is currently licking a spoon. So the way the format's going to go is that first we're going to have the American Institute for Chemical Engineers go, and then we're going to have the National Society of Black Engineers go, and we'll have Model United Nations. The way the format's going to go is we've just an introduction, so hopefully you all know us and who the voting members are. What the format's going to go is you'll have 3 minutes to basically introduce yourself and your club and state what you want to say to the finance board, things that you need to mention to us. After that, we'll have 2 minutes of a question and answer period. If there are still questions that the board has after those 2 minutes, they can move to extend those questioning period, which will give them an additional 5 minutes of voting, or not of voting, of discussion and questions for you guys. Once the question and answer period is done, you are free to go at that point. We're not going to enter discussions until once we start discussions on all the budgets as a whole. So this will just be for you to introduce and then a question and answer period. But if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat and I will be happy to answer them at any time. But for now, we're going to go ahead and start with the American Institute of Chemical Engineers. So you guys have 3 minutes from when you start talking. You are free to begin your case.
Hi, please do let me know if my audio goes out at any point. It's been kind of iffy. So our big thing that we're looking forward to for next semester is to send students to our national conference. It's held at the big professional society, the American Institute of Chemical Engineers. And the big thing that we're really looking for, besides the obvious benefits that come from conferences in terms of professional development and all the different things that students can get, is the chemical energy car competition that exists in the fall. And so we've recently started our chemical energy car team. It's brand new and we were looking to compete for the first time this spring. And we've sent students to the conference before, but now the only students that have had any access to the conference and seeing that competition firsthand are graduating seniors. So it's really important for us that we can have some funding to send our juniors who will be seniors and our sophomores who will be juniors to be able to see this competition, because we feel really confident in the car that we've built. And the teams that we're sending, they also have a Jeopardy team that we're trying to build to send. But those students just don't have experience in the field that they're going to be competing in. And so it's important for us that they get that experience so we feel like we're as well prepared as we possibly can be. Esma, do you have anything to add?
I want to say that the ChemiCar team is not just like a team. It's actually like we're building community against amongst like the chemical engineers in the undergraduate program here at UMBC. Everyone who's involved is like we're fostering friendships and like lifelong friendships, and it's not just about really competition, because we get to see like we working together with like our classmates, and it's like nice because this year was like our first time like we were going to compete, and like it brought everyone together. And like right now I could probably name every single person in the undergrad chemie department, and being a part of this group is like that's the more like the fostering of community that comes out of it.
And our professors are really, really engaged in our club and our organization too, and they're really looking forward to being able to send these students to this opportunity as well. I think the chemistry department is kind of special in that we use this organization to build a big family and a community with the students and with the professors. And this is just another thing that we're trying to use in order to help our students have the best possible chance that they can to succeed both in school and once they graduate.
And the professors, they know all the names of the undergraduates who are involved in the department. And that's kind of unheard of compared to other majors, how involved the professors are, and they're supportive, and they come with us to competition, and they come to our meetings, and they help us with the research and help us with the integration of our projects.
I think that's all I have to say, Esma. If you have anything else.
I think that's all I have to say as well.
Wow, and you had 3 seconds left over. Nice work, guys. That being said, does anyone have a question for the organization? We're going to go ahead and start with Elise. And Scott.
I had a question on the exact date of your conference, because on the application it says that it's from November 13th to March 16th. So I was just wondering the right date for the event.
Yeah, that's the correct date.
November.
It's November 13th, 2020 to November 16th, 2020.
Okay, because it says March, so I was kind of confused.
Oh,
whoops. That must have just been a typo. I'm
Yeah.
sorry about that.
Okay, now you're fine.
Scott, go ahead.
Does the request include any funding for the professor to come along to the conference?
No, it's only all students who are included. And the professors, they fund themselves to go.
I'm pretty sure the professors also have funding through like the department to be able to go to. So, and I'm pretty sure since it's a student conference, their registration fees are free, so they only have to pay for the housing and the transportation, and the department covers that.
Is the department providing any monetary support to you guys to go as well?
The department is providing us with money to buy the car, and they haven't put a specific like limit on exactly what we can spend that with, but that money on, but they haven't specifically given us money to go to this conference.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Anyone else have any other questions? Speak now or forever hold your peace.
I think if you guys are thinking of what to put money on, less, I mean, we need money on housing, but we can probably put people into an Airbnb. So I know last time we got our budget back, we had a lot of money on housing and very little money on like registration and transportation. And so I guess just considering that.
Yeah, to explain a bit on that, just before we finish out here, that's because the board will fund on a per person basis.
Okay.
So I know it's not ideal, and what we might end up doing is seeing what reallocations look like with that. But the current moment, that's what we fund at, because we got feedback from clubs after the first year saying they'd rather have all of like per person as opposed to the all for one specific line item, and then they can't afford the rest and they just can't go.
That's fine. Thank you.
All right. That being said, the time for questions is over. Is there a motion to extend questioning? Hearing no motion. Thank you guys so much for coming in. You're free to stay if you want to hear very boring stuff for the next 4 hours, but you're free to go whenever you'd like.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. All right. Up next, we have the National Society of Black Engineers, and we have Howard here to talk about that. Howard, it's going to be the same format as prior. You'll have 3 minutes. String Bean, can you not?
Okay.
Sorry, my dog's freaking out right now for absolutely no reason. He's doing it adorably, but so yeah, Howard, you'll have 3 minutes to kind of give your case to us, and after that, it'll be 2 minutes for questions with a possible 5-minute extension.
Okay.
All right, you're free to go ahead.
So hi again, I'm the Vice President of the National Society of Black Engineers. So if you're unfamiliar with the National Society of Black Engineers, their mission is basically to increase the number of culturally responsible Black engineers. And every year we go to the National Convention. This year it'll be held in North Carolina. And the biggest part of the National Convention is there's a lot of different opportunities for our members, like different competitions. There's a career fair. There's also potential awards that we can win. We've won a few awards just in the past year that have given the school great recognition. And the convention particularly showcases Black students from across the country, and then also professionals who have a passion for engineering. And just in, it's projected to attract over 14,000 engineers from different academic institutions across the country. So basically we're just requesting funding for the competition as well as travel. And it'll be held in the second weekend of November.
I also just wanted to add, hi, Bass here. I'm the treasurer for National Society of Black Engineers. The Fall Regional Conference is a great resource for a lot of our sophomore engineers who are looking for internship, because we have it right when the hiring process for internships in the summer begins. So it's just a great resource for all our members, and it's one of our big conferences during the year. So
and it's just a great way to kind of get especially members towards the beginning of the year, and just in preparation, like since it's towards the end of the fall semester, it's a great way to engage our members as well.
All right. Anything else you'd like to add?
No.
If not, that's perfectly fine.
not for me.
That's good.
All right. Go ahead and get started with the questioning period. So if you have a question, raise your hand. I'll go ahead and call on you. We'll start with Scott. Scott?
No question, sorry.
Had the hand up and everything. Does anyone else have any questions for the organization at this time? Or did they explain everything they needed to? All right. Seeing no questions, I'd like to, everyone good? No one has any questions, just want to make sure. All right, well, it looks like you guys were able to explain what you wanted in a nice, clear, and concise manner. Congratulations. So Howard, Bass, thank you guys so much for coming in. Again, you'll receive information on off-campus budgets after the SAFRB passes the SGA budget within 7 days or within 45 days of the initial budget submission, which has been pushed back. If we have any further questions for you, we'll reach out to you via email, and you're free to stay for the next however many hours we debate and discuss. But if you have other things you need to do, I completely understand. You guys are free to go at this time. But thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.
All right. Finally, we're going to move on to Lillian, who's here for Model United Nations. So welcome to the Lion's Den. Welcome to Finance.
Hello. Hi. So Model UN will be going to 3 competitions this fall. We're going to be going to Barman, which is hosted by Boston University. The last weekend of September, we're going to be bringing a small team to Boston for a weekend. We'll be staying in a hotel like near the conference. And we're going to Barman this year because we wanted to take more students to a travel conference without them having to miss a whole week for school, like our New York conference, which would have happened this spring. Rest in peace. And then we have our Model G20 Summit at American University. We're going to be bringing a small team, about 7-8 people, to practice and sort of role play the G20 Summit, and we'd be staying off site for that as well. And then we'd be going to Enmund, DC, which we go to every year. We bring a pretty big team, probably like 30 or so people. We go every year and we win awards usually. And as for like picking members for these teams, applications are open to the general student body, and we interview students who haven't competed with us before. That's all I really have.
All right. I know I have one question before we move on with the others. Your Boston conference is listed under the conference section. You submitted it as a conference, but your other 2 were submitted as competition, which is why you got the email twice. Was that intentional, or is one of them more conference than competition?
No, they're all like competition.
All 3 of them are competition?
Yeah.
All right. Does anyone else have any other questions? Candace, go ahead.
I was just saying hi to Lillian.
Oh, hi.
Lillian.
I just saw the wave. I assumed something was wrong. Doc, go ahead.
Do you know if you're receiving any money from the new intellectual sports coordinator or their department?
The intellectual sports coordinator department, we haven't been in contact with them as of like everything that's going on. I didn't know they were already hired. So I don't know if we'll be receiving money from them or not for this year. But I also have, so for the Enmund conference we were supposed to go to this spring, we're getting the money back. So once I get the check and I can bring it back to school, I'm going to give it to SABSC and they'll give you guys back like the money that you guys gave us for it. It's just an update on that.
It'll be just enough to pay for our loss in budget.
Yeah.
Anything else, Scott?
No, that's it. Thank you.
All right. Does anyone else have any final questions? Oh. Well, that's our time. Is there a motion to extend? Hearing no motion. Thank you, Lillian, so much for coming in.
All right.
If we need you again, we will let you know in terms of the competition section. But
Okay.
if you don't want to come in during that time, feel free to just shoot us an email or shoot us a text just to let us know about that. You're not required to come in for that now that we've cleared this issue up.
right,
But if
cool.
you would like to come in again and just say your spiel again because for gets and shiggles, feel free to do so. Did not curse.
Right, cool.
Did not curse, Candace. That was
Thanks.
not a curse. All right.
All right.
Thank you so
Thanks.
much for
Bye-bye,
coming in.
guys.
Bye. Have a great one.
You too. Bye, Zane.
Bye, Leanne.
All right. That being said, my first order of business to do is I'd like to move to shift Model United Nations from the conference section to the competition section. This is FBL 374-1920.
Second.
All right. All in favor, please raise your hands now. All right. All opposed? All right. The motion carries. So we'll shift them over. And that being said, we're going to go ahead and start to debate. So Candace, if you want to share your lovely screen again so that we can look at the sheet. All right, so I trust that everyone has been able to look over the sheets and information prior. So we're going to go. Oh, go ahead.
You just want me to share this screen, right? Do you want me to share something else?
Could you share the official copy spreadsheet?
Yeah.
Go through that. And everyone has looked over the conference section, correct? All right, so we're going to go ahead and look over the overall totals in numbers. And then from there, we're going to look at each event individually to see if there's anything individual there that we're going to cut. And then after that, we're going to see how much is left in terms of being requested. And then from there, we'll work out what we're going to cut blanket wise. Anyone have any objections? All right. Elise, go ahead.
Are we looking like at all three right now, or are we just doing the looking at the conference, off-campus conference?
Right now, we're just looking at off-campus for conference. So all we're going to do right now is fund the off-campus conference section.
So not so disregarding the other two and the off-campus competition.
Yes.
Didn't she just say that they're all competition?
For Model UN, all of them are competitions. So we're not going to look at them in terms of the conference section. We're just doing all the conferences right now. So we're going to go ahead and strike Model UN from that. We've already moved to shift Model UN over.
Okay. Okay.
Zane, go ahead. You're muted.
I left my hand up, sorry.
Oh, you're fine, no worries. I want to make sure everyone gets heard. All right, so what's your guys' opinion? So Student for Life has their Pro-Life Summit. This would be end of January, which would be technically in the... Does that count as spring? Or is this is still winter, right, Tori?
That would still be winter. Oh, Candace is saying no.
Because don't we get back on the first week? So zooming ahead, we'd get back to campus on the 25th of January, I'd assume. And if Scott says spring starts the 28th, and then this would be spring, correct? Sorry, I didn't catch this earlier, folks. Mine is in year, day, month. All right. So we already know what we're doing with that. That makes things easy. AICHE, they're requesting a total of $9,000. It's going to cost around $910 per person out of their 10 people that they want to show up.
Liam, they requested $7,280. I think the import of undergraduate students is incorrect because their online application says 8, not 10.
Cool. All right. Mess me up a little bit more. Thanks. That's fine. I just need to read better. Oh yeah, so $7,200, and the total for one person is $910. Any thoughts, or everyone looked over that application, correct? Anyone have any thoughts on it? Go ahead.
Did you say my name?
Yeah.
I think this is on a different request, but I think the easiest thing to do would be to remove requests that we can't fund. YDSA is over the summer and we can't fund that. So I think by removing that request, it would help us make the decisions of where else to cut.
All right. Yeah, that's basically what we're doing. I'm just going through and if anyone has anything that they wanted to note in the request that we wouldn't be able to fund for. So we're just gonna go down and do that first. But yeah. Yeah. We're gonna go ahead and strike YDSA. Does anyone have any objections to that? Raise your hand now. Oh, Scott, your hand's raised. Wow. No, I'm just kidding. All right. Nesby, did anyone have any issues with Nesby's request for $10,000? No issues. All right. Model United Nations, we're gonna go ahead and move out of here. Crew has their two events, their fall retreat and winter conference. Fall retreat's going to be 8,500. Winter conference is going to be 6,300. Did anyone have any issues with any of those requests? All right. Being no issues.
Candace is raising her hand.
Oh. Go for it, Candace. Sorry, I was checking on the thing on the side.
Yeah, when my screen is maximized, I can't get the little drop down to do stuff. So this 28th through the 1st, that's that or you're funding winter dates? Yes, right?
Yes.
Okay, then no, I don't have any problems. I think I asked that question before.
Good notice. All right, so what we actually have is looking at sorry, give me a second here. I'm working out the numbers. So it looks like the total requested for conferences is 31,805 out of the 4 requested ones, which is AICHE, NSB, and Crew. And the amount that we have to allocate is $16,000. So Tori, go ahead.
For YDSA, would you consider them for a Sahas? Or we don't fund summer at all, correct? Okay, just checking. Since they were a new org, that was just going through my head. And second, would it be helpful if I move the cells around to make this easier to look at for what we're actually?
Yes. To answer those respective questions, yeah, we don't fund YDSA because it happens over the summer, so it's this fiscal year split, which is why we're hesitant on funding them. And the reason why we aren't looking at Students for Life is because since their event's going to be listed for technically spring, since theirs is the 30th. So even if, like you said spring starts on the 28th, but if their event is requested for 30th, then yeah, big brain time. But we'll let them know, and then I'll send them the PDF of their application so they can honestly just resubmit it to prep for next year, and they'll be all set to go. So that being said, yeah, it looks like we're going to have to basically cut everything at 50% in order to make it. And we'll have to do that per person. Fortunately, everyone except for Crew, so half, have requested an even amount. Does anyone have any suggestions? I'm going to look at what the 50% cuts to each organization do in terms of funding, but at this point, feel free to, it's going to be an open discussion in terms of how you think we should proceed with this off-campus funding. Justin, while I run the numbers, could you moderate? Scott, go ahead.
So on the far right column, the letter W, I calculated a total for 10 people for basically each of these. and it's pretty close to the amount that we need to allocate.
All right, any other discussion points? I'm doing some calcs right now, so sorry, please give me a second.
Is it possible to ask the Black engineers for more documentation for the things that they on their application they used previous year's numbers and they just left it like that, and that's not sufficient, is it?
I think we allow it because their information hasn't been released yet for their next upcoming competition. And then if there's any differences, they'd have to make up that funding on their own. So we wouldn't grant any piecemeal extensions to them. And if the amount requested is more, then those funds automatically roll back to the board. All right, any other?
Do any of the crew events have food included in their registration?
I'm not sure off the top of my head.
I'm pretty positive that the fall retreat, I think one of them includes food, lodging, and registration.
So it's all together as one, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I think and I remember reading that in one of them at least.
Yeah, Elise said it's for FBL 491 for crew, which is the fall retreat. And is everyone okay with considering crew for both their events? Cool. Scott, hand still up. You got something else to say? Nope. All right. So if we were to fund for 50% of the total amount that's been requested, it would be, what the heck? All right, yeah, so it would be cruise fall retreats confusing me a little bit because I looked through this. I wanted to talk to you guys about it, but they have a per lodging and a per registration cost, but they don't have a lodging cost total on their requests. Scott, could you read the chat out loud for people?
So, crew on their application said the fee has already been predetermined by the conference and that the price is $120 per person, which includes registration fee, lodging, and meals. The price is a flat fee and cannot be separated.
All right. In that case, I have no objections to funding it if that's what it requires at this rate. Just for check the chat. Zane, go ahead.
In the past, I don't think we've like penalized groups in terms of funding because the fee wasn't like inseparable from things. Just like on past requests, I think. I forget which group it was, but I think there was another group that had a fee that was kind of like lumped, like a lump sum of things it was covering. So
All right, give me 1 second to do a final calculation. All right, sorry, let me check the chat. I'll go after. Yeah, it was the poets from last year. Thanks, that's what I was looking at. The best, Justin. All right, so if we were to fund every organization at 50% of their funding, that would mean that AICHE gets $4,550, NESB gets $5,000, Crew gets $4,200, their fall summit or fall retreat, and then their winter conference, they get $3,062.50. All of that together brings us up to an added total of $16,812, which is just about $800 over our amount to be allocated. That being said, what I'd like to propose at this time, Scott, go ahead.
I think that just doing a flat cut is somewhat unfair to the organizations who are requesting less than the other organizations. On the right, if we fund everybody at a cap of 11, but AICE at 8, which is what they requested, to come out to the exact amount right here. So I would propose that suggestion over a flat cut.
All right. Any other, or does anyone have Candace? Are you raising your hand? No. All right. Any comments or any discussion points for Scott's proposal?
What do y'all think? Give me some feedback here. Thank you, Abdullah.
So you're saying like percentage, or I just
So the total cost per person times 11 for everybody except AICHE, which is requesting 8 people. So we would be sending 11 to the bottommost 3, and then 8 for the topmost 3, or for the top one.
okay.
Go ahead.
Sorry. Oh, I was just gonna agree with Scott. I think in terms of like being able to fund things, I don't think just because like, you have a larger number of people going, like the kind of like flat cut is more beneficial to just people who might have like the 8 people going. So I would be in favor of funding kind of like proportional based on like a cap of people.
All right. Yeah, I think the reason.
With that said, though,
yeah, go for it.
AICHE gets a lot more money, even though it's less people.
Yeah, so the reason why I was looking at the flat cut was because under the plan, if we do for 11 people, then Crew, who wants to send 71 and 35, kind of gets screwed over. And AICHE gets everyone that they want. And their total is $910 per person versus Crew's $120 per person. So that's where I'm looking at the debate, where in the past we have done it on the per person, send 11 people to each, or send the same amount for each. But my issue is that because of that, we're basically giving AICHE everything they want, and then Crew's really getting screwed over because one person on AICHE is essentially 4 or 5 people for Crew. Ms. Heasley?
Barking dogs in the background. I was trying to wait on that. I agree with everything that's being said, which is extremely helpful, but I think it's also notable that AICHE is also competing, and they need all 8 to compete, versus other people are just going to a retreat or a conference. I don't know if that is a fair point to note, but
Well, my logic is if they really were going to be there for the purposes of they need to compete, then they shouldn't be in the conference section.
Should we move them?
I mean,
yeah, were they asked? Because I thought you mentioned that you were going to ask them if they wanted to be moved or not. I don't know if that question ever happened.
think they mentioned that there were several groups going to do different things, which is why they considered it a conference. We can go ahead and ask them back if that's something you guys would like to do. Dean, could you via email reach out to those to that organization, basically Asma and Sammy, and ask if they could hop back on the call real quick? Thank you so much. In the meantime, a question I'd like to pose to you guys is how much are you all willing to over allocate? Last semester we didn't over allocate at all for any of the sections. And we saved most of that for the on-campus. But I want to know kind of what level you guys were okay with in terms of over allocation. Justin, go ahead.
So do we know how much like money we'll be getting from like all these semesters not happening? Because if we are gonna get it back, then I'd be fine with over allocating. No.
The funds that, so since we're allocating for a brand new fiscal year, all the funds that come back right now are going to head straight into the reserves. No, they're not going to. The SAF or the student fee is also being refunded. So all of these funds will go to help refunding the student activities fee for students. And then whatever's left over going to the reserves. But basically, we just be over allocating at whatever our normal is. I think in the past we've been okay with 10%, but this board has historically decided to do it lower than that. So that's why I wanted to get like a baseline of to what additional level were you willing to allocate to.
Okay.
Percent would be an additional 1,600, bring the total. Personally, I'm only comfortable with an additional 1,000 up, but I wanted to get your guys' opinion on where you see that line. Candace, go ahead. And then before you go, Ilse just wants to note that an email was sent out by ECS in regard to canceled events. Evidently, I didn't get the email.
I'm good. Yeah, I'm good.
All right. So while we wait for that organization to come back to question them on that, let's start by looking at the two scenarios. One is if they remain in the conference section. Do we want to be doing the total for 11 people with them just having to getting fully funded, or do we want to look at the flat cut? I was hoping we get a quick straw poll on that, just so that I know where to go for in terms of if they're not doing it, how we should allocate the rest of the funds. So that being said, we're going to go ahead and do a straw.
Can I ask?
Oh,
Can I ask
yeah,
how
go.
much the flat cut would be before we do the straw poll?
It'd be a 50% flat cut. So 50% flat cut
50%,
gets us to
okay.
$16,900 something dollars. So we'd be over allocating by just around 900.
What if you cut the same amount over?
Cut the same amount from everyone? That one didn't seem as fair to me, considering that the differential of like 6,000 versus 10,000 requests. So this was a proportional cut, 50% to everyone.
Okay. Yeah, makes sense.
All right, so your two options are in the chat. Go ahead and type in a 1 for option 1, a 2 for option 2. Option 1 is the 50% flat cut to everyone, and option 2 is to send 11 people to each conference, AICHE excluded, because they have less than that, and they'll just get fully funded.
I would prefer to continue debate.
Well, it's just a straw poll. This isn't binding. But if you'd like to continue debate, feel free to. What would you like to input?
I don't know.
Would you like to hear my point of view?
Yeah.
All right. So we'll hold on the straw poll for now. But yeah, my logic was that because of the differential in cost per person, I figured that a 50% flat cut would be simpler. The total added up to around 31,000. So with the flat cut, we'd be just over on the 16,000 mark, if the math was correct. But it seemed like a 50% cut would be even because basically everyone gets to send half of what they want to send forward on the per person basis, since we're just taking the entire total and dropping it by 50%. That would be 4 people for AICHE. They'd have to come up with the rest. That'd be 10 people for NESB. That'd be 35 people rounded down for crew, and then 17 people rounded. So I was planning on rounding down or rounding up depending on how much, but after the totals came out, I think we're going to go ahead and round down. Zane and then Ryan, and then Candace. Zane?
Shoot, I keep forgetting to turn on my mic.
Would you like me to
I just had a
unmute your
question
mic
about.
every time I call for you?
Sorry, I just had a question about what Ryan said in the chat. I just didn't know if you could explain that for the cut for the 10% over allocation.
Yeah, that's why I had Ryan on next. Ryan, could you go ahead and explain your what you were saying?
Wait, you don't want me to explain the prorate? I thought that would have been more interesting. All right, so the 10% over allocation. Liam, didn't you say that a 10% over allocation would be like over $1,000, and you were only comfortable with a $1,000?
Yeah, it'd be 1,600 total. So it'd raise our total from 16,092 to 17,692, give or take.
Right, and so those are the numbers that I that sounded decent.
All right. I was going to ask you about the prorate. That's why you were next on the list. But Zane, does that answer your question?
Oh yeah, it does.
All right, Ryan, go ahead.
With the prorate explanation?
Yes, please.
All right, so I was just thinking that we could like split the numbers into 3 different categories by like size. So we'd have the smallest category and the middle category and the largest category. And then depending on how much we needed to fund them, we could do like the first category at like 90%, the second category at like 75%, and the third category at like I don't know, whatever makes the numbers work.
It's I see what you mean. I think the issue is that, and anyone can correct me if they feel differently. But my worry is that we're going to look biased towards determination on organizations. The question would be why are they get this much funding? Be like, oh, because they're a large. Be like, oh, well, we're a large organization too. We just didn't want to send that. That's what I'm worried about. But it is an interesting concept that I think we could take under advisement as we go forward. Candace, go ahead.
Great. I guess my question is around if you do flat cuts to their totals, are you going to allow them to reallocate line items?
So I'm
It's by person now.
Right. So
we fund it by person. I think that's a discussion that we'd have to have in a debate. I don't know if now is the best time for that. We can do it just after we're done with this. But since Asma and Sammy hopped on, I'd like to
okay,
have
yeah,
them.
they're here. Great, perfect.
Yep. All right, welcome back, guys. Sorry we decided to drag you back through the depths of WebEx, but we had a question for you regarding your event. So the main question that we had was your event, you made it, it sounds a lot more like a competition than a conference, and we have a separate section for competitions. So could you explain if yours is more of a competition or conference and why you believe it should be in whatever category it should be in?
Asma, do you want me to handle it or do you want it?
You can answer.
Okay. So the competition is just a very small part of the overall conference. So it's a big conference. It's being held for our entire region, and then just a tiny little section of that weekend has the competition in it. So it's mostly a conference.
All right. Thank you. Does anyone else have any further clarification questions for them at this time before so we don't have to ask them back a third?
No, but thank you for coming back.
Thank you for emailing.
Thank you for responding. All right. That's all we have. If no one has any other questions, you guys are free to head out again. Thank you again so much for hopping on for this small question.
Thank you.
All right. Tori, you can go ahead, and then we'll talk about Candace's discussion. Hello?
Sorry, my bad. I forgot that my actual microphone. Can you hear me now?
Yes, speaking of you.
Sorry. was going to throw another loop into or wrench into the loop with, I know last semester you also considered splitting the pot like 4 ways evenly and then kind of going from there too as another thing that you did last semester. I don't really have opinions one way or the other, but
I just did that if you guys want to review it.
Yeah, Candace, could you scroll over a little bit? Do you mind if we look at this possibility before we go on to reallocation?
Who?
Candace. I'm going to assume.
I scrolled it over.
Yeah, no. The question was, do you mind if we discuss this possibility
I don't care.
in terms of funding before we talk about reallocation?
Yeah, I was just posing the question as something to consider. I don't have a feeling about it, but I do think it's something to like, it's an if then, right? So, but it's just something to think about. I don't have yeah, you can talk about whatever you want.
All right. So if we were to do an even split of the pot, and then shift it for the per person basis, 5 people for AICHE, 8 people for NESB, 34 people for crew, and then an additional 24. So it would be 4,500, 4,000. Yeah. So those are the totals on there.
It's a little bit over, but we got some money coming back from neither, I believe.
Yeah, we should have about an additional 1,000. Plus, I believe the board is okay with an over allocation of around $1,000, and anyone can correct me if I'm wrong on that.
So that's splitting it so that the total is as close to 4,000 as it can be with fully funding people.
All right. I can't believe we forgot about that, but I am a lot more in favor of this option.
Thank you. I am too.
That being said, does anyone have an objection if we go to a 3-thing straw poll and then do a runoff from there just to determine how we might want to look forward? Or at the very least, get rid of one of the options that we have on the table? Ilse has a question first. If you could explain how you got your numbers.
So it's the total cost for one person multiplied by the number of people who can attend, trying to get as close to $4,000 as possible.
So since 4,000 was the even split, 4 events for $16,000, he just tried to get all the numbers as close to 4,000 as possible. So by messing the numbers to see, well, 5 people is going to get us 4,500. But if we get rid of that, then we'll be at 3,600, trying to keep it as close as possible to that amount. And then looking generously.
While being over 4,000, since we can allocate a little bit over. I didn't want to cut to 4 people for AICHE.
All right. Does that answer your question, Ilsa? Do you have, or are you still confused? All right, and then Candace, your hand's still up. Do you have another question or comment? All right, no worries.
This hand raising nonsense.
Hey, look, if I see a hand raise, I'm going to call on you. That's how it works. That being said, does anyone have any objections if we go into a straw poll with 3 options? Or would anyone like more debate? Hearing no calls for debate, go ahead and put 3 options in the chat. Just pick one of them for now, and this will be the option that you favor. All right, those are your 3 options. Option 1 is the 50% flat cut. Option 2 is 11 people per conference, excluding AICHE. Option 3 is even split for per person, which is what Scott just proposed here. Go ahead and type your answers in the chat. Ex officios are free to vote as well. Yes, you can vote. Ex officios and FYAs are free to vote, and you're free to speak at any time as well. Your voice is just as powerful as everyone else here.
Justin, are you here?
Justin's here. All right. Any final votes coming in? Give you 5 seconds. All right. Looks like everyone's in favor of that good option 3. This will be funding for the amounts listed on the sheet that Scott has. I'm okay with funding everything at this amount. I think now we should have the discussion that Candace wants, which is all right, Candace doesn't necessarily want the discussion, or she doesn't need to have it, but I still think it is something that we should at least ask.
Yes.
So I don't know what else to call it besides Candace's discussion, so I apologize for that if I offended you. But looking at, do we want to have reallocations available for these, even though we're funding per person? So in the past, the answer to that has been no, since we fund per person. But what's your thoughts on that? We'll start with Scott.
Oh.
So I think that Candace's point is that we should have reallocations between line items, not between people. So if, for example, and what happened recently this semester, where a department says we'll only fund registration or lodging, or a specific line item, that they could shift the funds while still having the same amount allocated to a person to a different line item, so that they could make use of that departmental funding. And I would be in favor of that.
All right, Candace, go ahead.
Great, thank you. My point was more around when you were just sort of cutting them like their totals and not taking into consideration the cost per person when calculating how much you were going to fund them. So previously, those total, is that what you're doing?
Yes.
That's what you're doing. You're not, are you funding them at the numbers that are on here right now?
We're funding them at the numbers for a total for split evenly for those who can attend, which would be as close to 4,000 as possible per person basis.
Right. So the previous one, one of the other options was to just say, okay, let me look at how much you've asked for and then give you 50% of that, which is not a per person funding, right? It's just a 50% funding. And that's when my question, that's when my point around, like, should you allow people to move things around to maybe get to be like, because you're not allocating at a per person rate, and you're not so like, I don't know, but I also
allocating at a per person
well
rate.
you are now, but before with the option you are now, but before the option on the table was just cut them at 50%, which isn't taking into account how much it is to send a person, right? That's when my question was, well, if you're just going to give them a lump sum, can they decide how they want to use that lump sum? That's what you were essentially doing. But now you're not giving them a lump sum. You are giving them a sum that's based on some sort of calculation based on how much it costs to send a person to the thing. And I think when you are faced with the situation that Scott posed, I think you all know how to be flexible in that. I think my point is, I don't want to say moot because that's not the actual definition of that word, but is no longer, I don't think that there's a need to have that conversation anymore.
All right, Scott.
Sorry.
Even with it being attached to a person, if a department wanted to fund a specific line item still, I would still be in favor of removing it from the person if it's still at the same amount of funding. Like if a department said, we know you're funding at a per person, but we want to only fund registration, we would be able to shift to allow more people to come just to make it easier on the department to give the money to the organization.
Yeah, this is what we've already established in precedent for that one organization.
Yeah.
All right, then our
we vote on these?
rules remain the same as they have been prior. Reallocations are only done as long as, assuming that the same amount of people are going, you can't reallocate funds that are on a per person basis to be distributed amongst other people. That being said, with these totals right here, is everyone comfortable with voting on legislation for these clubs at this time? Anyone is not comfortable at all or just wants more debate or they're not ready to vote, please say so in the chat now.
Tori, could you do me a solid and double check the numbers?
If your hands are up, please put them down at this time. All right, no one has any objections at this time. All right. That being said, starting off with Students for Life, I'd like to introduce FBL 370-1920. Considering that this is out of the scope of what we're able to fund, I'd like to move to indefinitely table FBL 370-1920.
Second.
All right, all in favor, please raise your hands now. All opposed? This is Students for Life, Dean. 370. All right, that being said, 370 has been tabled indefinitely. Up next is AICHE. I'd like to introduce FBL 371-1920, approval of the American Institute for Chemical Engineers' conference for the total amount of $4,550 planned for 5 people. Zane, Ryan, do you have questions or is this a vote? No problem. Just want to make sure no one's getting left behind. Of that being said, is there a motion regarding FBL 371-1920 for the amount of $4,550?
Move to approve FBL 371-1920.
Second.
All right, all in favor, please raise your hands now. All opposed? 8-4, 0 against, 1 abstaining, none not present. The motion carries. Up next is YDSA. I'd like to introduce FBL 372-1920. Seeing as this request is not within the scope of the Finance Board, I'd like to move to table FBL 372-1920. Also, do you have a question?
I second the motion.
All right. All right. All in favor, please raise your hands now. All opposed? 8-4, 0 against, 1 abstaining, 1 not present. The motion carries. This event will be tabled indefinitely. Up next is NSBE, the National Society of Black Engineers. I'd like to introduce FBL 373-1920 for the total amount of $4,000. Is there a motion on the floor?
Move to approve FBL 373-1920.
There's a second. All in favor, please raise your hands. All opposed? All right, 8-4, 0 against, 1 abstaining, none not present. The motion carries. Up next, I'd like to introduce FBL 376-1920, which is Cruise Fall Retreat for the total amount of $4,080. Is there a motion on the table?
Move to approve FBL 376-1920.
Second.
All right. All in favor, please raise your hands now. All opposed? 8 for, 0 against, 1 abstaining, none not present, and the motion carries. Finally, I'd like to introduce FBL 377-1920, which is Cruise Winter Conference for the total amount of $4,200.
Move to approve FBL 377-1920.
Second.
All right. Thanks, Justin. All in favor, please raise your hands now. All right. All opposed? All right. 8 for, 0 against, 1 abstaining, none not present. The motion carries, and we're done with conferences. YDSA is going to be pretty mad at us, but not our problem. Well, that's probably going to be mad at us too. For those of you looking at the agenda, up next we have a recess. You guys could get dinner. Do you object to taking this recess now, which would also give leadership and the rest of us on the call time to organize out these numbers for the next round? So, are there any objections?
A loaded question.
How's that loaded, Scott? I'll do all the work.
I'll help you. I already ate.
All right. That being said, are there any objections to moving into a recess right now as per our agenda? All right. That being said, we're going to go ahead and move into recess. As the next public comment is at 8:30, but that was Lillian. We can start whenever. I'd like to make this a 30-minute recess. Please reconvene and make sure that you are available, ready, and listening at 7:41 p.m. With that, we are in recess.
I think you're so funny.
Because we are.
No.
We're pretty good.
It's like
We'll have a minor humor.
juvenile.
All right, we're all back on. So Zane, did you respond if you wanted to come back in or no?
She have questions, but I said we didn't have any questions, so she's not going to come back.
That being said, we're just going to go ahead and dive right into off-campus budgets. We're going to make it super duper quick too. Scott, do you want to go ahead and explain what you did and the rules? Or explain, my bad. Do you want to explain what leadership did together and the rules that leadership worked to help establish?
Want to share your screen? Scott, are you talking?
Scott, we can't hear you if you are talking. I think his AirPods are being whack. You should get a headset.
Like the cool kids.
Hello?
Hey.
If you want to go ahead, Candace, you can share the screen to the competition section. Scott, if you want to explain what we did.
My headphones are so broken. Hello? Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay. I do have a headset. It's just at Walker Avenue, and I was going to get it next Monday, but not anymore. So what we did is we did the same thing as the last time. This was somewhat easier because a lot of people are asking under the amount of the even split. So I put down what people would be getting, the number of people going, and if they were full or partially funded. The one thing I was unsure about is that Kleptomaniacs is included in this list for $250. I believe they're limited funding, so I don't know if we would want to fund them. But if we choose not to, the numbers would still work. We would just take out $250, and we would be closer to the actual allocation amount for this.
So the way it's currently looking at is that kleptomaniacs falls under the same precedent that we set last meeting with Major Jeff. For its a limited funding organization, they're going to a conference for themselves. Looking at not funding them as per what we've decided prior. That being said, can we open up debate and discussion, or do you guys feel comfortable with voting? Anyone?
Do you want to do a straw poll?
Comfortable voting? Why, if one person said
One person
we
needs
would
to
have
open debate. Yeah.
But hearing that everyone's comfortable with voting, all right, then let me go ahead and pull up the. All right, so I'd like to introduce FBL 386-1920, which is the kleptomaniacs budget. Is there a motion? Or considering that they're not within the range of what we can fund, I'd like to move to immediately table FBL 386-1920. All right, there's a second. All in favor of tabling, please raise your hands now. All right, hands down. All opposed? Ilsa, I need your vote or I'm going to count you absent. In favor. All right, 8-4-0 against, 1 abstaining, none not present. Motion carried. Not be funding kleptomaniacs. That being said, so yeah, we decided to keep numbers down to 3,000. Can we open up debate on what we want to do for the rest of these clubs if this is something that everyone's okay with? Scott, if you go ahead and start on that. Or start debate. We can't hear you, or I cannot hear you.
Hello.
Now I can hear you.
Okay, cool. I'm in favor. I helped put these together. Does anybody have any questions about what we did? It's basically the same as the conferences that we just passed. That is in the total column that I have highlighted. If whoever's presenting could scroll over. You should also have access to the spreadsheet as well, if you want to look at it yourself.
Can you not see the whole thing?
It looks minimized on your screen.
What looks minimized on my screen?
The spreadsheet.
Can you see column R right here?
Yeah.
Right. And then this is the number of people going.
Mm-hmm. And then that's full or partially funded.
And then this is the organization. Why do you need to see the other stuff?
I was telling Nithya that she could open the spreadsheet herself if she wants to see everything.
Oh, well, yes. I can't fit everything on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
I thought you were telling me to do it. I was like, I don't know what you want me to do. Oh no, I want to be on video. Tick tock, tick tock. Are we doing questions right now?
Yes.
Tori has a question.
Go for it, Tori. Sorry, my internet's lagging out right now, so I've just connected over to my hotspot.
Yeah, I just have a quick
And
question.
Ilsa has a question too.
Did we ever get confirmation about the mock trial already being invited to the invitationals?
I don't believe we've gotten confirmation, but I don't believe any of these are. We've already been invited to them, if I remember. If I believe so, according to what they wrote. Let me go ahead and message them. I'll go ahead and call them and get an answer for you on that.
Yeah, I think that would be helpful because usually invitationals you have to qualify for, and I would feel comfortable knowing that we have that confirmation.
Let me go ahead and make some phone calls to the executive board.
So what's your question while Liam does that?
Can you just explain the numbers in column R?
So the column R is column Q times column S. So the total for one person times the number of people who are going. So it's a per person amount. So I guess we will have to change it a little bit if that's the copy.
Did we ever figure out moot court as far as the advisor stuff?
I don't understand.
Moot court, I think Liam and Candace know more about this than I do, but I think the professor. Yeah, so Liam mentioned that the advisor contacted us, but it felt like it was still unclear if it was something you were looking at? Question mark.
I think I got an email response from them today, like after our meeting, but for finance board. Hold on. New window.
And should we delete row 16 just so it's out of there? No one's counting in those numbers.
All right. Hi, guys. I'm back. I just got off the phone with the president for mock trial. They have confirmed that all of them are outstanding invitations that they've already been invited to. None of them are ones that they have yet to qualify for. So we are free to fund all of them.
Thank you, Liam. I appreciate that.
Of course. And then as for the advisor, there's an email in the finance board shared mailbox that has the advisor's email. We have approval from there. So it says he approves of the moot court's off-campus budget request submitted to the finance board. Thank you for consideration, all that stuff. So moot court is indeed good to go. And I've inputted their information as such to reflect that.
Yeah, they're good.
Cool.
Cool.
All right, and then, all right, does anyone have any other questions? Or is people comfortable with voting on the numbers that are in the sheet right now?
If you remove the two requests, I can input new numbers.
Remove the what?
Remove row 10 and row 16.
Yeah, Ilsa's not ready.
Understood. We're going to go ahead and clear row 10 and row 15.
What?
Something wrong, Scott?
What? What are we doing?
We deleted the kleptomaniacs request.
You should just move them down below so you still have them though.
Row 16 is Model United Nations.
Yeah, but it's on there twice.
Oh, is it?
If you said so.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Sneaky.
So I've input new numbers. Just adding a few people to the partly funded ones. There was an org requesting money for t-shirt / giveaway. Oh no. FBR 521. Ethics Bowl.
Sorry about that, folks. What are our thoughts on Ethics Bowl right now?
I have thoughts. This is Candace.
Go ahead, Candace.
I think that the $300 isn't in relation to this event at all for Common Vision, and you should strike it.
All right, moving to strike Common Vision from the Ethics Bowl.
Second.
All right, and how much is that?
$300.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Scott, can you reflect that change in the official copy sheet?
I'll try my best.
Here, I got it. Right, zooming out Common Vision, what other issues do people have? Ilsa says room calculations.
So, this is Candace. What I'm seeing is that, turn my video back on. They're sending 7 students, right? And it's $180 a room, 2 people per room. Each room is $180 a night, but we'll hold 2 people, and they're saying they need 5 rooms total, but they're only sending 7 students, so really they only need 4 rooms total. Correct?
7 students?
Because of the odd number.
Yeah.
So I think that's what you could fund them at.
One of those is for the advisor. I've got.
I'm sure of it. Yeah, yeah. And then what was
Should we
5
call
people
them?
and 2 alternates? Justin has something to say.
Yeah, in the application, that there's 5 people, but they're bringing 2 alternates, which is how I think they got the 7.
Yeah, I think the 7 is right, but they're asking for 5 rooms for 7 people. But that's not like
The numbers don't add up.
the numbers don't. It should be 4 rooms for 7 people, 2, 4, 6, and then a 7th, right? Because it's an odd number. You could fit another person in there.
And it doesn't matter whether that person's a girl or a boy, so there's no issue with gender.
Right, they each have their own room or own bed. They're saying 5 rooms. I think it's for like 9 people.
Yeah, so I think the 5 rooms is meant to be 4 rooms for the people and 1 room for their advisor. So we would cut that down. They're requesting 180, then it looks like what they're staying 10. They have 5 rooms, they're staying 2 nights. So we would cut this by $360. Room should be double bed on principle.
Yeah.
Dean, can you email this organization, ask if it's possible? Actually, you know what? Let me go ahead and call and ask if it's possible for them to come in.
Yeah.
Could you prep an email to send out to Ethics Bowl leadership? I'm basically giving them the link to come on for tonight. I'm gonna go ahead and call Ms. Negro.
I just want to go on the record and say y'all are troopers. Just want to say that on the record.
Ooh.
Sorry, Candace, you were talking earlier about something, but I wasn't able to hear that. Dean, were you able to send that email out to Ethics Bowl? Fantastic. I just got in contact with Izzy, and she'll be hopping on the call soon, hopefully. I'll wait for that. Thank you so much for your patience and all that stuff. Hopefully we'll have the information that we need. Yeah, it's a distance thing for 50 miles for transportation or for lodging, 200 miles for flight.
Wait, what's the lodging mile requirement again? 50 miles?
wanna
Is
say-
that just for transportation? Because like places in DC might not be like 50 miles, but people are requesting for lodging.
That lodging's in the DC area. I confirmed that on call that most of them are actually in Virginia.
What?
Are you worried about
Is
trial?
Georgetown like? I don't remember off the top of my head. I think it might be mock trial and maybe Model UN, but I don't remember. I remember like seeing American and Georgetown, I think, for the universities.
Yeah, I mean, I think you gotta look at where they are and just do a Google Maps, and if it's 50 miles, then sure. But if it's not,
Yeah, one's at American University for mock trial for FBBR 414.
Yeah, I definitely know American's less than 50 miles. I would bet you Georgetown's less than 50 as well.
Should I zero out 414 then?
It's just
Or
the
lodging?
numbers.
American is 35 miles.
Is that 415?
I believe so, yeah.
No, that's 414.
Yeah, 414 is at American. Hilltop one and
417 Georgetown then? Because they're not requesting lodging.
the only one that
Yeah,
they're
I don't
requesting
know if
lodging
they're
for is American.
that's 35 miles.
Use it to buy the.
Say again? Justin? Justin, you got your hand up. You have a question?
No, my
You're good. Izzy from Ethics Bowl is here for questioning. Welcome, Izzy. Thank you so much for coming.
What do you guys need from me?
I think our first question was based on hotel rooms, correct, guys?
Yeah.
So according to your application, you have 7 people competing, but you're requesting for 5 hotel rooms, and we were wanting to know there was a reason why you needed an additional hotel room, since it's 2 per room, and that would be 4 rooms.
I think we were also counting the coaches
That makes sense. All right.
because we usually bring 2 or 3 coaches depending.
All right. That makes sense. Any other questions that we had?
Are coaches professors or?
One of them is a professor. We sometimes bring old team members who have graduated but still want to help out with the team. And then we have one coach who is not a professor who is also an old team member, and she's always with us.
So how many undergraduate students are going then?
I think we're hoping to bring 7.
7? All right. Yeah, so we wouldn't be able to fund for your coaches. They'd have to get that through the department. But I think there was another question.
So that would be 4 rooms then.
Yes. Candace?
No, I don't think there was another question.
I think it was around the marketing and t-shirts.
Oh yeah. I don't know if that was a question.
That's something. Well, since you're here, I might as well tell you. For your marketing and t-shirts, it's actually a separate request that you'll do through Sahas to get that. And I can send you the links and help you out with that. But we're going to zero it out of this, but that doesn't mean that we don't approve of it. It's just it can't be approved with this budget.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I can help you through with that, and I can send you a follow-up email within 48 hours. Dean, if you can make a note of that in the minutes.
That would be great. That would be really helpful.
All right, sounds good. Any other questions for Izzy?
Thank you for coming.
All right, thank you so much for coming. Sorry with such short notice.
No problem.
That would clear stuff up. All right, have a great one.
Thanks.
All right, so that answers that question. Do we want
You already adjusted this lodging number already? You already adjusted the lodging number for Ethics Bowl? Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you double click on it, it says minus 360.
You're so smart.
Yeah, the original code.
I don't know if you need to get Lillian because I don't know if there's a question for her.
Well, the question would be the locations of these, right? Or the location of the
These are the locations they put.
Yeah, but I mean, we know that the second one's going to be at American University, so we wouldn't be able to cover lodging since it's within that section. The question would be, would the other one, the National Model United Nations one?
I just looked that up.
Yeah, they added documentation too, so there's probably screenshots of where they're staying also and the addresses of those.
Yeah, we
Yes,
can do that. My only suggestion was I know that she's standing by for questions. But yeah, let's go ahead and do that instead.
Plan your trip. It's in Arlington, Virginia.
Model United Nations.
The National Model United Nations DC.
So American University was zeroed out. All the ones that were zeroed out were highlighted if you want to double check those. Do the
Yeah, we're gonna have to zero out lodging for AU.
I think it's important to note which ones you're referring to because there's a couple that are at American.
Model United Nations AU 457.
Okay.
Apologies, good point.
Get a bus to your face.
Yeah. The Arlington, Virginia one. I mean, depending on how you go, there's, I mean, you can get there in 38 miles, 41 and a half miles. The long way is 50 miles. But
we also
yeah.
don't know where.
54 would be zeroed out.
Oh, I do know where it is. It's at the Crystal Gateway Marriott.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, in Arlington, Virginia. I looked it up.
My apologies.
Oh, you're good. I thought I said I was looking it up. I may have said that in my head. That sometimes happens. But even if you average the three,
Even if you take the longest one, it's 0.2 miles short.
right. I think you can confidently say that they don't need lodging for that.
All right, we're gonna go ahead and zero those out. I think we're gonna get some angry clubs. I think we might want to look at.
I think you zeroed them out last year. For the same one.
Also, just
Isn't
I got that
isn't this in your guiding documents anyway that you don't fund housing under 50 miles?
Yeah. But I think you zeroed them out last year. I don't think this is going to be a surprise.
Yeah. All right, no objections. Could you re-handle the totals with those two being zeroed out, finding out if we can now fully fund for them?
Yeah, I'll do it.
All right. The max that we're willing to over allocate is going to remain at $1,000. Does anyone have any objections to that? All right. So the max we're willing to allocate is $28,500.
28,500.
Yeah.
If you wanna add $300 on top of that, we can just fully fund everybody.
Does anyone have any objections? The 10% over would be 30,000. So if we did this, we'd be at 28,800.
I think we might have a little bit of money left over from neither as well.
Yeah, we do.
So I think that would be fine.
All right, we're gonna do a straw poll, which would be over allocating and fully funding everyone or leaving the numbers as is. Actually, why do a straw poll? All in favor of just increasing by 300 and fully funding everyone, please raise your hands now.
Do it.
All right, hands down. All opposed? Ryan, what's your vote? Ryan. All right, well, we have.
Might have stepped out.
Yeah, we have 6 for, 1 against, 1 abstaining, 1 not present for this straw poll. Nithya, do you mind if I ask why you're against it, or you don't have to if you would not like to? I'm just curious.
Nithya, are you here?
Yeah. She says that there's excess money in travel that we can get rid of. For which
Some groups have tax listed on their vans. I didn't get super far into it, but I know like the 350 and 406 have registration, or I mean have van tax on them and like license fee recovery. I'm sure Nithya, yeah, and ethics pool, she said too.
I don't know. I'm not 100% sure on what we do and do not pay. We don't pay sales tax. But there may be other taxes that we do pay. I'm not 100%. I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
Even if we do allocate the money, David Roy wouldn't pay for what we can't pay for. So
Correct.
It would like 50 or whatever dollars would roll back.
Good to know there's another safeguard in place.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, the vote still stands, so we'll be allocating 28,000, $800, and fully funding all of competition.
Look at that.
Nice work, guys. Give yourselves a round of applause. We are done with off campus. I'm proud of each and every single one of you. All right, that being said, I'd like to introduce FBL 374-1920, which is Model UN 451. Is there a motion on the floor?
What was the number again?
This is Model UN FBL 470 or 374 This is FBBR 451. Right now, we're just doing the process of passing the official legislation.
One second, I'll bring up the agenda, say everything.
Yeah, 454 or 451 is part of the conferences that got switched to competitions. That's why that one's going first.
451. Move to approve FBL 374-1920.
There's a second. All in favor, please raise your hands now. All opposed? Yeah, I think there's changes we need to be made to the SurveyMonkey, Scott, but we can look at that in a moment. First, let's get this formality over with. I'd like to introduce FBL 378-1920, which is mock trial 350. Amount as stated.
Move to approve FBL 378-1920.
There's a second. All in favor, please raise your hands now. Oh, wait. Would anyone like to register an abstention? Raise your hand if you have an abstention. Elise, what's your abstention for? Or no abstentions? All right. All in favor, please raise your hands now. All opposed? All right, 8-4-0 against, 1 abstaining, none not present. The motion carries. I'd like to introduce FBL 379-1920, which is 406 for the amount stated.
Move to approve FBL 379-1920.
Second.
All right, all in favor, please raise your hands now. All right, all opposed? 8-4-0 against, 1 abstaining, none not present. The motion carries. I'd like to introduce FBL 380-1920, which is 414.
Move to approve FBL 380-1920.
Second.
All in favor, please raise your hands now. All opposed? 8-4-0 against, 1 abstaining, none not present. The motion carries. I'd like to introduce FBL 381-1920.
Move to approve FBL 381-1920.
Second.
All in favor, please raise your hands now. All opposed? 8-4-0 against, 1 abstaining, none not present. The motion carries. I'd like to introduce FBL 382-1920.
Move to approve FBL 382-1920.
Second.
All in favor? All opposed? 8-0-1-0. The motion carries. Introducing FBL 383-1920.
Move to approve FBL 383-1920.
Second.
In favor? Opposed? Abdullah, you're in favor, right? All right, 8-4-0 against, 1 abstaining, 1 not present. The motion carries. Was that 384?
That was 383.
Introducing 384.
Move to approve FBL 384-1920.
Second.
All in favor? All opposed? 8-0-1-0. The motion carries. Introducing FBL 385-1920.
Move to approve FBL 385-1920.
Second.
All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries. 8-0-1-0. Introducing FBL 387-1920, Model United Nations, 454 for the amount stated. Is there a motion on the floor?
Move to approve 387-1920.
Are there any abstentions? Elise, Justin, abstention? Guys. Are you abstaining, and if so, why so? Please, Justin?
They're both saying no, we are not abstaining. I'm sorry. And Nithya's saying bruh.
Oh, well, my connection's just shite then. Sorry.
Motion is still in progress for 387-1920.
Yep. All in favor of 387, please raise your hand now. All opposed? Motion carries 8010. Introducing FBL 388-1920.
Move to approve FBL 388-1920.
Second.
All in favor? All opposed? 8010, the motion carries. Introducing FBL 389-1920 Ethics Bowl for the amount stated. Is there a motion on the floor?
Move to approve FBL 389-1920.
Second.
Are there any abstentions? All right, all in favor? All opposed? 8010, the motion carries. Introducing FBL 390-1920, which is moot court, 442 for the amount stated. Is there a motion?
Move to approve FBL 390-1920.
Second.
Any abstentions? All right, all in favor? Yeah, these numbers should be correct, Nithya. The ones on the sheet. All opposed? All right, 8010, and the motion carries, and we are done with off campus. Congratulations, guys. Now it's official.
Did we do this Black Squirrel tournament one? Are we sure? Mock trial one?
Yeah, 350.
Okay.
That was FBL 378.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, we're done with off campus. We'll be starting on campus on Friday. We'll be looking at around 10 to 15 orgs on Friday. So be prepared for that. We'll have the same system in place where people can, if they want to sign up, they can, but if they don't want to, they won't. That information will be available to which orgs on Wednesday. And this time I will not adjust that it is Wednesday. Yes, we took out 300 from ethics for common vision and lodging out of all the ones highlighted. All right. That being said, I'd like to move to call for a special session of the Finance Board on Friday, April 3rd from 6 to 8 p.m.
Second.
All right. All in favor, please raise your hands now. All opposed? All right, with that being said, the Finance Board will convene on Friday, April 3rd from 6 to 8 p.m. All right. Are there any announcements? No one's got anything fun? My one announcement, if you had to sign up to leave and move out of campus, that has been canceled thanks to the stay-at-home effort. If you have immediate or emergency exceptions, email reslife@umbc.edu to see if you can get an exception to travel. This would be for essential items that you need, such as textbooks or things like that, and they'll be given on a case-by-case basis. Also, stay at home. Now it's a law. And if one of you gets arrested for a year for going outside during the quarantine,
No, you can go outside.
Don't go outside.
You can go for a walk, you can ride your bike for exercise, but like don't drive to somewhere to exercise where there's a bunch of other people exercising. Like that's stupid. That defeats the purpose. Don't go to Target because you just feel bored and want to shop for shirts. Don't do that. Or need a new mug. Don't do that. Just Stay at home and be a homebody. I can teach you.
If you take a walk, it's a walk to jail. I like that, Scott.
It is not.
No, it's not. You can walk.
You can go for a walk. I took my kids for a walk. We walked right past a cop and said, "Hey, it was
Officer, this
fine."
one right here. Hey, stop before it's too late.
Are you? Wait, who's in the mall? Oh, what a relic.
What a time to be alive.
Stop it, Scott. You're so fired. Can we adjourn this meeting?
Any other announcements?
Uh,
All right. Hearing no announcements, I adjourn this meeting at 8:40 p.m. I recognize that I am present, Abdul is present, Elise is present, Ilse is present, Justin is present, Nithya is present, Ryan is present, Scott is present, and Zane is present, along with advisors Tori, Courtney, and Candace, one of our lovely FYAs, and Dean, the Mean Green Bean. With that, we are adjourned.